I feel as if I haven't been back in ages. But it hasn't truly been so very long. They say home is where the heart is. But all I feel is...
Oh, spare me your sickly sweet nostalgia. I mean, we're going to kill you anyway, so...
You're the one who...
I bid you, Victoria, unleash your full power.
I wouldn't have it any other way. The kid gloves are coming.
Why did you kill Olivia?
Why? Let me think. Don't look at me like that. I mean, a crystal vestal? Ha! You're no match for me. And that goes for those fools you're with, too. You stumpy little... Did you...
Tia! How dare you hurl such heinous language at Victoria! I care not if you are the Grand Marshal's daughter. I'll not rest until you lie dead in Victoria...
Fine. Then I'll not rest until that foul-mouthed girl falls head over...
I'll have you know I'm in top form today. Now you'll see just how... Go ahead and try and escape. I'm going to toy with you like a cat before I Not talking so big now, are you? I'd better say your prayers. This... Victor,
Alas, you have grown more unstable than I had feared. We must seek treatment at once.
Hey, wait!
Where did they...
Victor spoke of getting treatment. The closest place around here for that would be...
What is... Oh,
Silence, if you please. She would like...
Victor S. Court? What is the meaning of this?
Allow me to tell you a story.
In other words, you're stalling for time. Time enough to replenish the torch.
No, that is not my intention. This treatment... Now, about that story. In truth, it is a tale of the not... Once upon a time, in a place not of this land, there was an orphan child suffering an incurable disease. Abandoned by physicians and all around her, she simply waited upon her inevitable demise. But hearing her voiceless pleas, the Lord Marshal took her in his arms and brought her back to Eternia.
My father did that?
Were it not for his lordship, her fragile life would have soon been... I am sure you are well aware, Adia, but science and medicine in our land have advanced greatly. I was pulled from my studies on the Earth Crystal to treat her. And yet my treatments were still experimental. She survived, but ill effects linger. Side effects graver still than her original condition. Fits like that you witness strike periodically, and their frequency, violent turns of mood soon stripped her of any semblance of self-control. Each time her tiny form is racked with pain, I ask myself, knowing the result, would I still have... But ever is my answer the same. As long as I draw breath, I will see that she does too. No matter if she is both my crime and my redemption, my ego, my joy. I dedicate my entirety to...
What? I mean, really, Victor. That was so boring and really long, too.
Forgive me, Victoria.
Back to my old self. But I don't think I could take another... Now, let's take care of these fools once and for all. To think you'd just stand around twiddling your thumbs when you had a second chance to... But that just proves you're the fools I knew you were. Victoria! Don't blame me. You're the ones who just dug their own graves. Vengeance? I've no interest in the Grand Marshal's fancy, but we do agree on one thing. The neat total annihilation would be too easy on them. They'll all pay for what they did to me.
Do not stand in my way! In a
You're earned, but I cannot forgive your stubborn! I know, but we total no.
Hail, nescient children of man.
Who's there?
A petulant daughter's act of rebellion against the father who neglected her.
What?
The naive Vestal's sense of justice as dictated by others, unquestioned as it is unflinching. An orphaned existence, ignorant of himself and alone in this world. Has playing as the trusty friend filled your hollow soul, boy?
Show yourself!
Not but children, all of you.
What?
I am done here. I leave the rest to you, Alternus.
Your cooperation is much appreciated.
Cooperation? No. It is simply a matter of friendly... My interest lies in the Templars, the Grand Marshal's daughter. You may cast the remaining 3 into the dungeon, if you so wish.
Yes, my lord.
The 2 newest members of the Council of 6 have perished at the hands of the Vestal. 'Tis such a pity.
So Victor, and
Yes, Lord Marshal.
the tragic end.
Indeed. But the Vestal and her fellow conspirator...
Though the toll was heavy.
No, this was not my doing.
I see.
There was one more... Your daughter, Idia, is in her room.
And
I simply thought you'd wish to know.
Is this my... Where is everybody?
no, leave us. I simply wish to speak with my...
Father. You never learned to knock first, no matter how many times I asked.
It seems like ages.
What have you done with my friends? Where have you taken them?
Your fellow conspirators are held in the dungeon.
The dungeon? I'd feared that.
As for the Wind Vestal,
Agnes, what will you do with her? You'll bring ruin upon Eternia if you harm a hair.
you speak of ruin. It is you and your conspirators who nearly brought ruin upon this land. Crystalism is a cult, a tool for deceiving the masses. We can trust them with the crystals no longer. The Wind Vestal shall never again see the light of day. And should she persist with her uncooperative attitude,
Then it's as I feared. You'll have her executed, though she was merely caught in a web spun of your selfish ideals.
selfish,
Well, they are, aren't they? You send big men to chase down and capture one little girl. You wage war far and wide. You ravage nature. You bring suffering upon innocence. Are those your ideals, Father? What is it you're trying to do? I don't understand. I just don't understand.
I did not raise you to be such a shallow little fool.
Father, why do you say such things?
The Earth Crystal is now the last of the crystals here upon Luxendark to retain its normal state. All who seek to awaken the crystal, whether the Vestal or my own flesh and blood, You shall remain here whilst you regain your senses.
And just how long am I to be your prisoner?
Until you realize the error of your ways! Redouble the guard. My daughter poses a graver threat than you might think.
It's as I feared. Father...
Lord DeRosso, Your Grace, what brings you here? It has been 15 years since you last ventured forth.
15, you say? It brings me joy to see what a fine Grand Marshal you have become. For an immortal such as I, 15 years seem... Do you recall that day? It was dreadfully cold by your reckoning. Though just the sort of weather, upon ceding the head counselor's seat to you, I retired to my castle and partook of a goblet of steaming wine. And now 15 years have passed since you rid yourself of me by naming me Archduke. But I ask you, are you content? You seized the Earth Crystal and laid waste to the places sacred to the Orthodoxy. And you brought the crystals under the dominion of man, exploiting them. All great deeds we failed to accomplish. You should be proud.
I did it not for pride.
I would have you accept my words as true, for there is no veiled reproach therein. Indeed, you have acted most valiantly, unlike we who have long done naught. And yet, you have been too hasty, brave the Templar. I fear I do not share your urgency, for my life has spanned 2004, but I understand the reasoning therein, and it is from such understanding that I say,
though 15 years have passed, you have changed. However, if I might respond,
Father just does... Right. All ready. It's quite a way to the dungeon, but I'll manage.
Forgive me, Lord Marshal. Is...
no, she is not. She...
Yes, Lord Marshal, she was. But she suffered.
What's this? We're not the sentries, but...
They claim never to have stepped from their post. Her chamber door was never opened.
Then how could she have?
Ah, her father's daughter indeed. She acts from the same sentiments. Those sentiments that you once held.
How could you know that? Have you not been away from this land these 15 years?
Was it not you who drove me to exile? Well, but to one such as I, you and your daughter are one and the same. Passionate, stubborn. So it is I can understand what both father and daughter are. You ought try speaking with her. And listening too. Crystalism. Anti-crystalism. The quarrel between you and your daughter is but a proxy for that clash of ideas. Open your heart before it is too late. The very future of this world hangs in the...
You truly have not changed, have you?
Is that so? Well, you must forgive me. But lest you forget...
Found it! Now to free it. Agnes, are you all right?
I am. Now that you're here, Adia, I'm glad to see you're safe.
Me?
Well, the Eternian forces do view you as a traitor. I feared they'd have some unspeakable punishment awaiting you.
You needn't worry about that. My father is not so draconian as that.
At least no harm has come to you.
I'd like to thank you too, Adia. You saved me from having to search this entire dungeon.
Eri, do you think you could have carried this key around? You're so little after all.
It does look really heavy. I'd rather not think about lugging that about.
There's nothing to worry about now that I'm here. Well, I better lead the way. With your poor sense of direction, Agnes, who knows where we'd end up.
Now hold on. My sense of direction has improved.
At least, isn't that simply a matter of having Eri and Tiz lead the way?
Well, that may be, but
Don't take it so hard.
if you say so.
Thanks, Adia.
You're quite welcome. But it was really nothing. After all, I was raised within Central Command's walls.
Were you able to...
Huh? What does it matter?
You have family you can talk to. You ought to, you know.
You would forgive my father? Grand Marshal of Eternian Forces. You've seen how much Agnes has suffered because of my...
True enough, but...
You need not worry about me. We need to focus on awakening the Earth.
All right.
I can't leave anyone behind. Are you all right, Ring-a-Bell?
Why wouldn't I be? I mean, I knew you'd come. And, well, here you are. You're my savior, my goddess. Let me thank you with a big...
Ring-a-Bell, are you coming or not? I can...
Of course.
Now, if we can get through here, then... it won't...
Are you sure?
I don't understand.
Little indeed.
Who's there?
Sage? Is that you?
What am I doing here? Akadaf has for me. I'm right.
Right where you...
Yes, indeed. You see, I'm a founding member of the council and that would make me your enemy.
I don't...
I've been sequestered in Yuliana Woods ever since that Templar Brave Lee seized, but the fact remains, I still count.
You were acquainted with my father? Then you must have known. Why didn't you say so, you miserable old
I I saw little need, being that I was in seclusion.
This cannot be. You are a trusted friend to us. A teacher-like figure who... And to now hear you say you serve Eternia? The people who killed the Earth Vestal. I don't understand.
Who indeed?
What do you...
An old friend has risen from a long slumber, so I came to see him.
A warning?
Then you yet serve the Duchy's forces, and me.
You are not entirely wrong there. This world is not so clean or pleasant as you... I suspect your journey this far has taught you as much. Malice is not the only enemy. The road to ruin is oft paved with good intentions. With action comes consequence. The joy of some may be the misery of others. To decide one way is to abandon the other. Knowing this, will you continue upon...
Nothing could stop me.
You mean us?
Right. Us. We've...
Is that so? Have the courage to think and act on your own.
Those words. Have the courage to disobey.
Well now, you do
Sage.
Step back.
Sage?
Know that ever shall I be...
Eternian Central Command lies ahead, and the Chamber of the Council of Six is housed at its...
So that's where we'll find your father, Adia?
Yes. Along with the Dark Knight Alternus Dim, and that's...
Well, we need the key Adia's father has. That's the only way we'll make it to the Earth Crystal. If we can just get the key, maybe we can avoid fighting a lot of people.
I'm afraid that is...
Lord Marshal, the gate to the dungeon was utterly destroyed. But why would Yuliana assist in the Wind Vestal's escape?
The capricious old fool. I cannot fathom his thoughts. But that the two appear now after 50, it's as if they had come to gloat over my demise.
Lord Marshal, I'm afraid I don't understand. It is unlike you to utter such...
Victor and Victoria are defeated. And we no longer receive word from our squads. Those two grandsires said their piece ere going into hiding again. All that remains now of the Council of Six are you and I.
I shall not concede defeat. Were we but to slay the Wind Vestal.
And what of my daughter? Could you slay it? Hear me, Dark Knight, Alternus Dim. I would have you escape while you still may.
Your Lordship, I must protest. Am I...
It is my faith in you that makes me bid you leave. For I have a task I would entrust to no one else.
You need merely speak the word.
The time has come for me to share my true aim in restoring the Duchy of Eternia and reveal the secret borne by its predecessor. Until now, only I and those two grandsires.
This is the room where I grew up.
So this...
Hey, ring a bell. Let a girl keep some privacy.
Where's the fun in that? This place must be full of memories. I don't have any memories, least any I can recall. So forgive me if I wax a little sentimental here. They say you can tell a person by their room. And all I can say is...
Thank you.
Hey, isn't that a picture of you, Adia?
Oh, how embarrassing. Let's pretend you didn't see that.
Here's one with your entire family.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
Seeing this picture leaves no doubt of the depth of your father's love.
If by love you mean exasperation, you may be right.
Are you truly prepared to battle your own?
That would seem to be my destiny. You could say we are both of a mind that shan't ever waver once we decide upon something. To go against one willing to die for his beliefs calls for steely resolve. That is why
It doesn't have to be this way.
How so?
It serves no purpose to abandon dialogue from the start. Not while you are both here to talk.
I will consider it.
But that cannot be. How could such a secret...
It's not for us to question the truth. I will see that the Vestal and her followers are stopped here. And you, I would have you... The Pillar of Light will appear somewhere in this world. You must find it, Alternus. And you must...
Father.
How could I have not known about that secret passage to your room? What?
Well, I've been using it almost as long as I could walk. It's come in handy more than once.
I see.
Listen, Father. The truth is, I wanted to help you fulfill your ideals. I truly did. I mean, no matter how I tried to get through to you, you never paid me any mind. It was as if you always had your back turned towards me, until I...
It was not that I never accepted you. Rather, you were ever my pride and joy. My assigning you to the Sky Knights was an acknowledgement that you had become the woman I knew you could be. I had thought you might tame that band of ruffians, to bring them to order.
Thank you, Father. I never knew...
Do not thank me, for I too shall do whatever it takes. Mine is a cause that I shall not willingly abandon.
Yes, Mother told me. It was when she first fell ill that you began to rush the pursuit of...
I will not stand by and watch you ruin all I've made. You and your band shall...
Why, Father? Why must you always refuse to listen to me?
My ideals are no longer my own. It is my calling. Nay.
Protect the world? But it's you, Father, who endangers it! Is this battle between us all but inevitable? I came here knowing that mere words could never bend your will.
You've come this far, only to spout such sickly sweets. Blood and steel are the final resort between those unwilling to concede their beliefs. I am Brave Lee, Grand Marshal of Eternia.
Forgive me!
You should not have come.
Forgive me, Brave. Forgive me, Adia. This is all my fault.
What is this foolishness you speak? You are ever the strength that keeps. And I love you, and Adia, dearly.
Father? Father!
Do not fear. He is merely unconscious. His wounds, they will heal. And he may never wield his sword.
Mother, I took up arms against Father. I told myself I was ready to fight him, even if it meant shortening his years.
Then surely you will not stray from your path, so long as you hold that feeling near and dear. By your actions, you have finally granted your father a reprieve from his anguished struggle. It was for the best.
Mother, we now go to awaken the Earth Crystal.
I see.
Forgive me.
There is no need to ask my forgiveness.
Oh, but there is, Mother. For if we awaken the crystal, your treatments will no longer be possible. We will no longer be able to keep what ails you at bay. What sort of daughter does that to her mother?
Oh, Adia, you truly are your father's daughter. And that is what makes you even more dear to me.
Mother!
How very touching. I beg pardon for my interruption.
And you are...
Of course, you had yet to see me in this form. I am Lester De Rosso. But you may address me as Lord De Rosso.
What do you mean our fear is misplaced?
It appears you have underestimated the Templar's great deeds. Deeds for which for he has advanced science and medicine in this land by 100 years. While complete cures may not yet be possible, sickness and disease can be prevented from further progression. Awakening the crystal shall not rob your mother of such mortal life as she has left.
So then...
We're free to awaken the crystal.
Ironic, is it not? To think I would be the one to urge the Wind Vestal and her companions. I can see purpose unwavering in your eyes. 'Tis as if I gaze upon Brave the Templar in his youth. And yet, there is still much that you can. I have seen years measuring in thousands. Hope and sentiment intertwined with right and wrong, good and the rise and fall of the Orthodoxy, the restoration of Eternia, the two conflicting beliefs. So much may happen in a life immortal.
The way to Everlast Tower is beyond this door.
Let's go!